Space is the most unforgiving environment known to man. In 1970, going to the moon felt almost routine, until a catastrophic explosion shattered that illusion. 200,000 miles from home, 3 astronauts were trapped, bleeding oxygen, freezing in the dark, and choking on their own breath. What followed wasn't just a desperate fight for survival, it became the greatest rescue mission in human history. Today, we break down the miracle of Apollo 13 into 8 definitive chapters. This is the story of the successful failure. Chapter 1. The routine flight. Going to the moon was supposed to be impossible, but by April 1970, the American public was actually getting bored of it. Apollo 13 was NASA's third lunar landing mission. Commander Jim Lovell and his crew were ready to make history. The launch was flawless. The journey was smooth. The TV networks didn't even broadcast their live updates. Nobody cared. Until 200,000 miles away from Earth, space reminded them who was boss. Chapter 2. Houston, we've had a problem. Houston, we've had a problem here. Those words sent a chill through NASA mission control. At 175,000 miles from home, an oxygen tank inside the Odyssey had just violently exploded. Plus one, it blew off a massive panel from the side of the spacecraft. Commander Lovell looked out the window. What he saw was a nightmare. They were bleeding oxygen. Their air, their power, their life was venting into the void. Chapter 3. The lifeboat. The command module, the Odyssey, was dying. Plus one to survive. The crew had to do something entirely untested. They had to abandon the main ship and move into the Lunar Module, named Aquarius. Aquarius was designed to keep 2 men alive for 2 days on the moon. Now, it had to keep 3 men alive for 4 days in deep space. It was a tin can, a lifeboat with walls as thin as a few sheets of aluminum foil, and they were headed completely in the wrong direction. Chapter 4. The cold and the dark. To make it back to Earth, they needed power. Every single amp of electricity mattered. So, Houston ordered them to shut down everything. The navigation, the computers, and most brutally, the heaters. Space is absolute zero. Without heaters, the temperature inside plummeted to near freezing. Sleep became impossible. They shivered uncontrollably in the dark. Water became their most precious resource. They were limited to just 6 ounces a day. Thirsty, freezing, and exhausted. But the worst was yet to come. Chapter 5. The carbon dioxide monster. Every time the crew exhaled, they were poisoning themselves. The lunar module's filters were only meant for 2 men. Now, carbon dioxide was reaching lethal levels. They had extra filters from the dead command module, but there was a massive engineering problem. The good filters were square. The hole they had to go into was round. The flight controllers in Houston had to figure out how to put a square peg in a round hole, using only the materials the astronauts had on board: cardboard, plastic bags, hoses, and duct tape. It was the ultimate DIY hack, and it worked. The air cleared. Chapter 6. The blind burn. They were finally swinging around the dark side of the moon, heading back to Earth, but their trajectory was off. If they didn't correct it, they would miss Earth entirely and drift into deep space forever. To fix the course, they had to fire the engines, but the automated navigation computers were dead. Commander Lovell had to fly the spacecraft manually, completely blind, using nothing but the visual line between day and night on the Earth as his only reference point. Ignition. For 14 agonizing seconds, the engine burned. It was a perfect manual burn. Pure pilot skill. The Earth was in their sights. Chapter 7. The re-entry nightmare. Approaching Earth, they abandoned the lunar module that saved their lives. Moving back into the freezing, dead Odyssey command module, they powered it up for one last ride. But there was one final, terrifying unknown. Did the initial explosion crack their heat shield? If it did, they would burn to ashes in seconds, hitting the Earth's atmosphere at 24,000 miles per hour. A massive fireball engulfed the ship. Radio blackout. Houston lost contact. The blackout usually lasted 3 minutes, but 3 minutes passed, then 3.5, then 4. Chapter 8. The successful failure. The entire world was holding its breath. Odyssey, Houston standing by. Over. Silence. And then, through the static. Okay, Joe. The heat shield held. They made it. The Apollo 13 crew splashed down in the Pacific Ocean. Exhausted, freezing, but alive. It was supposed to be a failure, but through sheer human ingenuity, duct tape, and impossible math, Apollo 13 became known as NASA's finest hour. The ultimate successful failure.